On the pristine shores of the Liu River just outside the city of Liuzhou here in southern China. It's round number 4 of the 2017 UIM Formula 1 H2O World Championship for powerboating at the Grand Prix of China. Hi everybody, I'm your host Steve Michael along with my broadcast partner, many-time world champion Jonathan Jones, and we greet you on a very warm and spectacular day as we start our second half of the 2017 campaign. But before we begin discussing today's Grand Prix, let's first give you a feel for this lovely area of southern China that's been so special to us with a visual postcard of tropical Liuzhou, China. Liuzhou, a city of over 3.5 million people, is located on the banks of the windy Liu River, 255 kilometers from Nanning, in the welcome subtropic climate in the southern part of the People's Republic of China. The city of Liuzhou, more than 2,100 years old, is known as the Dragon City. The landscape is a mixture of rolling hills, mountain peaks, and caves, ideal for exploring the many mountain villages in the area. Liuzhou has a large population of ethnic minorities, and with that comes the many celebrations and festivals all year long. The young people today enjoy the benefits of a growing economy that comes with success in its automobile, steel, and garment districts that has set it to new heights. It's a city of history, culture with a flair of modernistic style. It's all here in lovely Liuzhou, China. Well, the race circuit here on the Liu River is very fast and very technical and has always been full of drama. Let's bring in here Jonathan. Tell us your thoughts about this race circuit.
As you said, very, very technical. 2,000 meters all the way around. We've got 6 turn boys, 5 left-hand turns and 1 right-hand way on the far end of the circuit. Overtaking points to look out for, probably between 3, 4 and 5 on that far end. Very technical there. Boat setup will be paramount here today.
All right, well, 6 weeks ago, we kicked off the first of back-to-back events in the People's Republic, traveling to the extreme north of China to Harbin. The race was historic. When it was over, we had a new leader in the Drivers' Championship. Hey, let's look back. Third round of this championship here in Harbin, and the boats explode away from the dock, and as they go through, Eric Stark, the pole sitter, trying to hold off a huge challenge by Thaniel Quimsey. Back and forth in 5th place, you can see Ahmed Al-Hamli and Philippe Shep get together. It was a physical fight as they worked their way around the first turn. And as the man on the pole, Eric Stark, looking for his first victory. What a miserable weekend. Sami Selio dropping out after crashing heavily, and then fellow Scandinavian Marit Stromoy taking out the buoy down in turn number 4. She was disqualified out of the race. And as they worked their way back on the restart, Sean Torrente was doing his best up in the top 3, but the American dropped out for the victory team on lap 22. He was bitterly disappointed. So in the final laps, it all came down to Eric Stark holding off 2 drivers from the Emirates, and for the first time in his career, Eric Stark picked up the victory on his 22nd start of his career. Great day for the Swedish driver. Now, yesterday's qualifying was a wild affair, full of drama, headlined by 2-time world champion Sami Selio's huge crash down in turn 3, and it was the Finn's second straight crash in China. As he goes into the corner, he hits a rogue wave and barrel rolls not once but twice, and comes to a spectacular end. And he will be moved down the grid because of that. As we look at the field of drivers today, let's take a look at the starting lineup. 12 different countries, 4 different continents. Alex Carella on the pole with a 44.42, looking for his 4th win in the last 6 years here racing in Liuzhou. Eric Stark coming off a brilliant victory 6 weeks ago in Harbin. As Ahmed Al-Hamli looks for a victory here. Farther down in the field, you can see Sean Torrente disappointed in his 10th qualifying spot. He had trim problems yesterday. And Philip Rams, the young Finnish driver, the youngest driver here in the 12th spot. Francesco Gattando, the oldest driver here, as he comes for his over 20th race. And farther down in the field, Sami Selio will start 18th today after that crash. And then Grant Trask from Australia, having engine problems, he'll start at the tail of the field. Now, Sweden's Eric Stark is on a roll, coming off a victory in Harbin and starting 2nd today, moving up as he's a tie for 3rd in this championship. What about his thoughts today?
I think we are in quite good position for the race, and okay, Alex in the front is not an easy match, but like it's going to be a long and very, very hot race. So a lot can happen, but like I'm really, really happy with where we are right now and for the championship and everything.
Well, as he's upbeat, Francis-Philippe Schepp is trailing in the championship by 11 points and managed to qualify a disappointing 5th on the grid with his new boat. Is the pressure starting to get to the 3-time world champion?
The pressure is not for the start because it's not a good result on the grid, but the pressure is for the championship because it's not good things, and we do make minimum a podium. We do fight for the victory for sure.
Well, 48 tours around this afternoon. The temperature 33 degrees Celsius, 90 degrees Fahrenheit. It's a hot, blistery day. Slight winds coming off the west, which is on the right side of your screen. You can see the flag flying. It's been a tradition here. This is the 10th year that we've come here to lovely Liuzhou. And as we get closer and closer to the 30-second board, as we anticipate the time start going today, it's time once again to settle the age-old question of who's fastest on water, as powerboat racing fans throughout southern China have squeezed their way into this lovely aquatic backdrop with wonderful mountains in the background to enjoy the sounds and drama of Formula One racing. 30-second board is now placed up. We are seconds before the start. The drivers so very much alone with their thoughts. All eyes glued now in the 3 rows of lights as we hold our breath. And then we will go around for 48 tours. It's about 800 meters down the long run to the commitment buoy. Lights waiting to come on. 3 rows of lights come on, and then we go racing. 3 lights, and we're underway. And explode away from the dock. And the pole setter, Alex Corella, feeling the heat off his right side as the youngster Eric Stark tries to chase down the 3-time world champion from Italy. As they go down into the commitment buoy, 750 meters. We hold our breath as they tiptoe their way through, and it looks like Corella's got the jump that he was hoping for as he slides out with Eric Stark right off his right hip. This is spectacular stuff, and gone through and clear is the leader, Alex Corella, who did a 44.42. But I'll tell you something, Jonathan, Eric Stark is nipping at his heels. He doesn't want to give up early.
Yeah, the only problem is now that, you know, Stark's got that clear water ahead of him for the next 2 or 3 laps. And he's probably going to slowly but surely pull away, as he already has done from Stark. Ahmed Al-Hamli, the Dubai driver there, in 3rd position, hanging on tight. And a guy that's really moving his way up fast is the current world champion, Philippe Schepp, coming around the right-hander there with a bunch of other drivers fighting nip and tuck as they go down that long back straight.
All right, now Schepp has moved up into 4th. He worked his way around Marit Stromoy, who started 4th. She's dropped back to 5th. So a little bit of juggling going on in the top 5 as they come by for the first lap of 48. Alex Corella comes whistling through. As you go on board, you get a chance to see how close the racing is here early on, Jonathan.
Yeah, you can see that Al-Hamli still hanging on there, but there's no doubt that Schepp is running a very, very well set up boat then, starting to close up. Again, Jonas Anderson having a bit of a problem there, turning on the right on the turn number 2, coming into turn number 3. Boat wouldn't set properly, but back to the front there. Yeah, he's looking really strong at the moment, Corella, and looks as though he's got it all his own way.
All right, Corella out in the lead. He's got a 10-second margin between he and 7th place Thani Al-Quimsi, who's made up some ground. Well, Sean Torrente's jumped 2 spots. He's up into the 8th place. He had trim problems yesterday as the Florida driver trying to do his best to make some noise here early, and Corella is running away from the rest of the field. He's been already a 3.34 second margin.
Yeah, he's flying at the front end there. 3.34 seconds now between 1st and 2nd. 6.83 between 1st and Ahmed Al-Hamli, who's in that 3rd position with Schepp just a second or so behind him.
As you take a look back in the field, Duarte Benavente and that number 10 machine down in the 12th place. His teammate Grant Trask, who started last, has moved up 2 spots. He's in the 17th position. Who's moved up? We expected to see Sami Celio come charging up. And for Celio, he's struggling, Jonathan. He's way down in the 17th position, so he's only gained 1 spot. Obviously, Celio very disappointed. Here he's running a 55-second lap as his fast one, while Carella's running 8 seconds faster.
As we pick up Chiappa again there, and you can see Stromoy losing a little bit of ground. Jonas Anderson taking a tight line there on the inside, trying to make some space. He switches to the outside, he gets some clear water with Sean Torrente nipping at his tail. But as we pick that shot up, it's Chiap from Marit Stromoy and then Anderson.
Right now you can see Sean Torrente moving up a spot. He just worked his way around Thaniel Quimsey, so he's up into 7th place. So he's still on the charge. He hasn't given up the hunt.
No, but again, back there to Chiap, you can see there, he's really hammering up that back straight there. Boat with the number 1 on it. That's a Moore boat built in France, powered by a Mercury 2.5-litre engine, pulling about 6.5 Gs as we pick up the onboard camera.
As we watch him now, of course, Shep, remember, is a brand new boat here, and for him, he's 11 points back. He's going to have to get himself up and hope that people up in front of him, like Alex Corella, who's leading this championship with 38 points and's got an 8-point cushion, has a problem on the race circuit.
But as you can see there, beautiful circuit there. All the boats now getting a little bit of space between each other, and it looks at the moment with that 4.68 second gap between first and second that Alex Corella in that new DAC boat that was flown into China 2 or 3 days ago. They spent the last couple of weeks in northern Italy testing it. They said it was worth bringing here, and it looks like they were right. And then you've got Al Hamdi still in third, but he's 9.5 now between him and the lead boat.
All right, well, the top 3 have stayed the same since the start. Corella, Stark, and Al Hamdi. Philippe Shep's moved up a spot. He's in that 4th position, worked his way around Marit Stromoy, who qualified yesterday in 4th, which was for her the best qualifying effort in the last couple of years. And Jonas Anderson still glued in that 6th spot. Torrente, however, is right there. He's jumped 3 spots. He's moved up more than anybody else so far today.
Yeah, we just saw him out of shot there. He's just behind Stromoy, but he certainly is making up some ground. He's yesterday, because of the problems he had in qualifying, he was down in 10th position and was really hoping to get into the top 2 or 3, and then we might have seen a completely different race. But he's running another Moore boat. He picked up Al Hamdi there, and then Chiap doesn't seem to now be able to make up much ground on Al Hamdi. At the beginning he was closing on him really fast, but now it looks as though everything's settling down a little bit, and Carella's still leading that field.
Well, Shep right now is 2 seconds behind in the battle for the final podium position early on. We are now at the 1/10 mark. In other words, we've covered a 10th of the race so far as we look at 48 laps or 48 tours this afternoon. Last year was a 50-lap race, and the speeds just what we expected them to be, flat out. And the difference between the top 5 right now is 14 seconds, so Alex Corella's running away.
Yeah, and you could see Chap there, just gone out of shot, Steve. What a difference 2 or 3 races makes. Because at the beginning of the season, he was the guy to beat. He was streets ahead of everybody else. But of course, all these other teams, they've really knuckled down. They've been working very, very hard on their setup, on propeller setup. I know a lot of them have got some new design propellers now, Steve, and that seems to be making a big difference, and they're a lot more competitive.
Well, you see Torrente on the right side of your screen. China's not his happy place. He's had 7 starts, 1 DNF, and a crash, and a pair of 4s so far. He's looking for his first podium and victory here in 8 races. He qualified 2nd here back in 2013. Torrente's finished runner-up in the championship last year. The last 4 years, he's either finished 3rd or 2nd, and this year he's having a miserable time as Sean Torrente is trying to get back up into the top 5 in this championship picture. He's down in 8th.
Now, Jonas Anderson, that's just ahead of him. I was talking to him literally 15-20 minutes before the race. He swapped this weekend to the DAC boat. He normally runs a Molgard, and he just felt that the DAC seemed to have the edge, but he didn't know quite whether the setup was as he'd like. And I think, looking at the position he's in at the moment, he probably would have been better off with the Molgard than with the DAC. But again, Al Hamdi there, keeping the pressure, and certainly Chap behind him, pressurizing him. And Marit Stromoy not so far behind Chap now.
Yeah, she's moving up. She's trying to stay right there in that position because Marit Stromoy started in 4th. She dropped back a spot. She and Philippe Shep switched positions at that time. But Jonas Anderson right now in that 6th spot, trying to figure out a way to move forward as he's about 2.5 seconds clear and trying to catch up to Marit Stromoy.
Yeah, looks like that Baba boat that Marit is running there. really good setup because she's putting in some very, very consistent laps, and at the moment nobody can hold her up. And I just saw one of the Team China boats there slowing down. I hope that was not Chiap. I don't think it was. I think it was Peter Morin, his son-in-law, running the other boat. But again, back with Al Hamdi, the Abu Dhabi driver there, now driving for Dubai under the auspices of Scott Gilman, the team owner and head crew chief there, and they're running really, really well out here. As you can see, Anderson trying everything he can to close that gap. Torrente coming through now on the outside and putting on a great show.
Peter Morin hasn't slowed down. He's still running pretty strong out there. They're both running as we keep an eye on him. And of course, we were worried that maybe it could have been Philippe Shep, but Shep is 12 seconds back of the leader, Alex Corella. But Marit Stromoy is getting closer. Now she's about 1.7 seconds from Philippe Shep, who's back in that 4th spot. And Shep needs points today in order for him to stay in this championship.
Yeah, picking up Al Hamdi there. You can see Sami Selyo really struggling at the back. Al Hamdi already lapping him, as you see Chiap there, trying to take a tighter in line, but inside line losing a bit of ground. And Marit Stromoy still got the hammer to the metal and doing a great job out there.
Yeah, great confidence for her as she continues to do what she can. And for Marit Stromoy this year, she sits down tied for 13th. She's only got 3 points in this championship. And her qualifying yesterday was the best she's had all year. She's only finished one, and that was 8th in Evian.
Yeah, and her race pace as well, Steve. That is considerably better this weekend than we've seen for quite some time. And that'll get her mojo back. And moving on to the next Grand Prix in Abu Dhabi in a short while. This is really going to put her in for a big push towards the end of the year and put her in good stead. But again, as you can see there, Torrente just a little bit behind Anderson. He closed up really quick behind him, Steve. But the problem he's got now is he's got that dirty water and also the back markers. And it looks as though you saw Anderson taking a tight line there. He seems to be getting through the traffic a little bit better than Torrente.
Yeah, 1.7 seconds behind the driver from Sweden as he battles up front. And you get a chance there to watch Team Sweden driver. And, of course, the big thing for Jonas Anderson. Now, Anderson has won here before in China, and he would love to do it today as Jonas is doing his best. But, you know, for Jonas Anderson, he's tied for 8th in this championship, as is this man, Sean Torrente. Torrente, knowing he's running out of time, Sean Torrente will need some luck in order for him to win the title this year. He's dropped out of 2 of 3 races this year.
It's going to be a long shot, isn't it, Steve? Because he's been very, very fast, but he hasn't been that consistent, has he? And that's really hurt Torrente, because on his day he's probably as fast, if not faster than anybody out here. You can see switch to the outside there. He's trying to get some clear water. Jonas takes a nice tight line, and then nip and tuck. Each driver, I'm sure that Jonas is watching in his mirrors, making sure that he makes his course as wide as he can and not allowing Torrente to be able to close up on him.
Yeah, now Torrente hasn't won since Sharjah a year ago. He's had 5 podiums in his last 8 finishes. He's led all of the races. He's been up in the top 3, I should say, in all races this year. Problem is, as we said, he dropped out at 2 of 3. His best performance this year, he started way down in 15th in Evian, and on a restart, he rocketed his way from 15th to 3rd and got on the podium.
Yeah, but again, if you look here now, it looks as though Anderson is starting. Oh, we've got a yellow flag.
Yellow flag on the race course as we take a look, as we visualize to see what happened. Our first yellow flag of the afternoon, and as we watch them, we take a look, and looks like a buoy may have gone out, Jonathan. Looks like we've lost, we may have lost both buoys, which would have been turn number 5, so they immediately have to stop because you're changing the race course, and they're going to get the Osprey Rescue Team out there to replace those very expensive buoys, and they're very large, but you'll get disqualified. We saw that last race in Harbin when it was Marit Stromoy who took out both buoys. You can take out one and get penalized. You take out both, and we got to do this. You're going to get disqualified.
Yeah, but hey, just as the doctor ordered, Steve, now everybody's going to bunch up again, and we're going to have almost a restart of this race. And it's going to be crucial that when the crew chiefs that are watching the UIM observers here, when they drop that flag, that because the drivers will not know where this race is going to restart. They'll be in communication with the drivers, and as soon as they see the green flag drop, then those drivers have got to be right on it. And by that I mean that the trim of the boat has got to be perfect for maximum acceleration. And with all these boats bunching up, this is an opportunity for people to actually overtake and beat some of the guys in front of them.
Yeah, the Osprey Rescue Team working right there. Now this course, Jonathan, is long enough because it's 2.02 kilometers, which is 1.25 miles around. So really, as you mentioned very correctly, that the race commissioner, Luís Ribeiro from Portugal, can drop the green flag anywhere. Why? Because he's got enough room to do it. When we were in Harbin, we were in a very small race circuit. It was really a little bull ring of 4 pins, and you could guarantee it was either on the front straightaway or the back straightaway where he's going to drop the green flag. Here it could be anywhere, so it's going to be a bigger puzzle as you can watch the Osprey Rescue Team working diligently and very quickly to get both buoys tied up and ready to go.
Yeah, this normally takes 2 or 3 laps. They've got the boys out there now. Looks like they're getting them onto station, so hopefully we'll be underway in the next 5 minutes. But as you can see there, all the boats now bunching up. So that lap, that lead that Alex Carella had, 8.04 seconds, sorry, that much in front. He's lost all of it now, and he has to start all over again.
All right, a third of the way through this race so far, Jonathan. Alex Carella, as you mentioned, has a nice sweet lead, but now it's all wiped away. You got Eric Stark, who's going to be right behind him now, bunching up along with Ahmed Al-Hamli. And in that 4th spot will be Philippe Shep. So any jockeying, we know there are people who are very, very good at making a move on the restart. Drivers really depend so much on their spotters, don't they?
They certainly do. And you could see the onboard there with Stark. He's just behind the lead boat of Carella. And what happens is you have one boat on the inside, one on the outside. They're not allowed to close up. They have to be behind the boat in front. And it's going to bunch all of these boats up. And as I said, pretty much another restart. And there's people like Tarente and a few of the other people that were out there not able to make up any ground, Steve. This is where they have a good chance to certainly make their way to the front of this race.
And of course, you want to be off the driver's hip, Jonathan. As we say, you don't want to be right behind the driver because you end up getting a bit of oxidation from the boat in front of you. In other words, the propeller is stirring up a lot of bubbles, thus air. You lose bite, so you don't want to drive through that draft, do you?
That's absolutely right, Steve. The one thing about these propellers, though, unlike a propeller on a conventional boat, they're called surface propellers. They're 4 blades, and when 2 of the blades is out of the water, 2 in the water, and they don't suffer from a lot of cavitation. But you can see everybody now getting bunched up. They'll have their crew chiefs watching the UIM observer there, Luís Ribeiro, very, very carefully. Everybody's slotting into position now, and hopefully we'll have things underway fairly shortly. You can see that the Osprey team are working frantically because not only did they lose the turn boys, Steve, they actually lost the anchor and the rope that actually holds them there. So they've had to go back to the shore, pick up all that equipment, take it back out to the point where they know that they need to set everything, and it is delaying things a little bit, but at least it's giving these drivers a little bit of a breather because it's pretty hot out there.
All right, we've gone through a third of this race, Jonathan. Let's talk a little bit about a few surprises that we've seen. The first surprise, Sami Selli way in the back in 17th place. He's not a factor, and we'll get a chance to look back and let's replay the start one more time because it was a great charge by these 19 drivers from 4 different continents. They explode away from the dock, and again in the back you can see Grant Trask trying to move up as Sami Selli could not do. Here's the start. Alex Carella guarding the right hip. As you can see, Eric Stark trying to do his best. It looks like Philippe Shep got an ace of a start in that 4th place spot, and we go on board with Philippe Shep as we watch him push his way off the dock, and you can see he's almost level with Ahmed Al-Hamli as they go racing down make that 750 meters down into that commitment buoy, Jonathan.
Yeah, but where he's lost out, you see, is taking a wide line there. You can see a chap right on the outside. Because he wasn't qualifying right at the front, maybe 1st or 2nd, he had to keep that line going down through turn 1 and into turn number 2, which means he's lost so much ground. And with these boats so competitively, the times are so competitive between each one. Yesterday in qualifying, between first and fifth, there was something like about 0.2 of a second. It is literally that close. So the start of every race is so important. And if you can get that clear water, you can make up some ground, because until you get the back markers, then obviously, you know, you've got clear water ahead of you.
Let's talk about the equipment. You go around at full steam for the first 12, 13 laps, and now you've got to cool the engine down to about 4,000 RPM. Is that a factor in these engines, Jonathan?
Well, it's something that, you know, it's very easily, they're a 2-stroke, 2.5 litre Mercury engine, and also you can get them, when I say oiling up, maybe overloading with fuel in the cylinders, so you've got to keep blipping the throttle all the time to make sure that they're nice and crisp. What they'll also be doing is trimming the engines out on the back, as you do on a, let's say, a conventional ski boat. And also on these we have an engine lift, they call it. So the engine can actually be lifted back on the top of the, on the transom, I beg your pardon, and they'll have that engine as high as they can, as far out as they can, blipping that throttle. So when they get that, when the green flag drops, they're getting maximum acceleration, maximum bite. And this is where, as I said earlier, you may see a change, even for the start.
Well, if you're a newcomer to this sport, if you win the race, you get 20 points. You finish second, you get 15. You get 12 if you finish third. You get fourth if you, fourth place, you get 9 points, all the way down to 1 point for finishing in the top 10 in that 10th spot. So it's very important now. We've got 3 races on the calendar to be decided. This is the start of the second half of this 2017 campaign. 60 points still up for grabs, and it's a big day for Alex Carella. If he can pull this off, Jonathan, and remember, he has. He's won 3 of the last 5 races here. If he wins today, he's going to put the stranglehold on a lot of drivers, and it's going to have to be kitty by the door, kind of, to keep an eye on bad luck and see if he makes mistakes in the final 2 races when we head off to the Emirates.
Yeah, and you can see Chiap there. You know, when you're in the lead boat, obviously you've not got all this rough water, and like you said, Steve, the aeration of the water that does cause an element of cavitation. So the guy in the front has got a distinct advantage. Number 2 boat, that's the boat of Stark, was running really well, and in fact was as fast as Carella this morning. So it does mean that, you know, if he can get it right and get everything set perfectly, then he may be able to get the jump on the lead boat of Carella.
Well, Carella right now leads this championship by 8 points. And Sami Celio, who's in second place, is mired way down in the field all the way toward the end and not having a good day. So it's really up to Eric Stark right now. He's tied for third. He's 11 points back, and he's going to do his best to try to get around Carella as they continue to work. They still have that problem, as you talk about, not only setting the 2 buoys, but dropping the anchor and make sure it stays there. That's the second thing you've got to do.
Yeah, oh, and there you can see one of the Maverick boats. This is the pickle fork on the front of the boat. It is a very, very thin piece of fiberglass just to give the boat a profile. And when it does hit another boat, it means that that takes the impact rather than a solid piece of the carbon fiber. And you can see it just flicking away there. And that's certainly going to affect his performance as the race carries on.
Yeah, Cedric Deguin could be waving at us with the yeah, right side or the left side sponson. Now that sponson, by the way, that happened, Jonathan, early in the race. I think lap 2, because it's been like that since the early portion of this race, and really isn't much of a factor. He actually, with that happening, that could have been like a rogue wave that actually he could have dug in hard enough to flip that back. It doesn't mean he hit somebody else. It could have been something that he hit as he charged through the water, and that water is hard as concrete at these speeds.
So back to the action. I noticed that the Osprey team now is going back on the station. The turn buoys have been set up, so this race will start any time in the next lap or 2.
All right, as we get the great shot from our drone camera here, we've got cameras all over on the far side, north and south side of this race circuit. And we wait to see them as they head down into turn number 3. Look at the beautiful complex off to the left that they built about 5 years ago. And that is specific for these Formula One races. That is made for the Grand Prix of Liuzhou. This is our 10th year here, and we are starting our 3rd decade of racing here in China.
And you could see Chap there putting a bit of pressure on Al Hamli there, the Dubai driver, right up on his tail there, making sure that he doesn't get too much of an advantage, that Al Hamli doesn't get too much of an advantage on the restart. And then you can see the mayhem midfield there, where there's so much water, boats flying everywhere. It's going to be tough for those guys.
All right, as they start to bunch up now, whether the race commissioner likes what he sees or not, as the drivers are getting antsy, the crews are getting antsy, they're waiting to let them know, the official spotters, they come out of the corner. Could this be the time where we drop the green flag? The yellow flag continues to fly as we look off to the left, and it's right now, I think the commissioner is not happy of what he's seeing, but it looks pretty orderly to me, Jonathan, as they work their way through.
Yeah, if I was in second position there, Stark, I wouldn't be quite so wide. I would be right on the tail of Carella, because I notice in third position, Al Hamli, he's got himself tucked in there very, very nicely, and they're going to have to watch out for him on the restart.
Yeah, Philippe Shep needs to back off just a bit, because he is actually behind him. And as they come through, the green flag's back off, and here they come. And Alex Carella trying to make good his escape as he gets a marvelous start and tries to work his way past the Swedish driver Eric Stark. Now the battle for third heating up as Philippe Shep side by side with Al Hamli. Al Hamli hits the brakes, and Shep goes into third place. He needed that. He's now moved up 2 spots. Shep in the chance to fight for this world championship, looking for his 4th title in a row, and right now he is up into third. He's got more points, Jonathan.
As you said, Steve, you know, on that restart, anything can happen. Positions can change, and as things are at the moment, Al Hamli, he got boxed in there. He had to back off coming into the corner. Shep was on the outside in the clear water, and he took that opportunity, and he's now up into third position. 4.05 seconds behind the lead boat. So we've got Carella, Stark, and Chiap in the top position.
And Reed Stromoy is making a case right now, and she is pushing real hard, sitting back in that 5th place. She's trying to challenge right now, and she's trying to take her run as she goes after Ahmed Al Hamli, as Al Hamli down in the 4th position with Reed Stromoy right behind.
Yeah, and you can see there Jonas Anderson taking a very wide line. I'm not sure if he was slowed down a little bit. I'm just checking there. Didn't seem to have the pace on the last lap, and I think he's lost the position there. Yes, Torrente's come through. So we've got from the lead Carella, Stark, Chia, Al Hamli, Stromoy, and Torrente in that 6th slot.
Torrente's making a bit of a move again. We expected to see that on the restart. He may be the most aggressive restart driver that we've got on this tour, as he's up now into the 6th place, about 11.6 seconds behind as they circumnavigate this race course. Stark trying to catch up to Carella. Carella's on the fly. His best lap is a 47.5. Right now, the last time around, he ran a 49.09. So let's see what he does this time around, if he can get the pace back. Of course, they're losing fuel, they're losing weight, and the times will keep on going up as this race goes on. We're getting close to the halfway mark.
Yeah, Stromoy there again, still putting pressure on Ahmed Al Hamli in that 4th position. There's not a lot between those 2 boats. Stark at the moment 4.37 seconds behind Carella at the moment. Then we have Chiap just behind him, another 3 seconds, and Al Hamli hanging on for grim death as Marit Stromoy puts the pressure on him.
Exactly, and Torrente, this man from Florida right now, the multi-time North American champion, runner-up in the championship a year ago, is less than a second now behind Reed Stromoy. The talented woman driver out of Norway who has won on this tour. She became the first ever woman to win a professional Grand Prix in motorsports when she did it 2 years ago. So we watched Trask going into the corner. Oh my, almost barrel rolled it, somehow saved it, lost a lot of speed, lost a couple of positions, but more importantly, he stayed dry and he didn't get wet, Jonathan.
He really got hosed down there. As you saw Stromoy, what a corner that he pulled there. Torrente doesn't seem to have an answer at the moment for her, Steve, that's for sure. She is driving a blinding race, and you can see there Marit on the inside. and Ahmed Al-Hamli on the outside, and she almost overtook him on that last turn.
She needed to run that pace because right now Tarente, as you look at him, is less than a second behind her. He was the last time around. Did he gain any seconds? Did he lose any tenths of seconds? No, it was an ideal time. It's still 0.98, the difference between Marit Stromoy and Sean Tarente, who's back in 6th.
Yeah, and you can see the spray in front of her. You can see the white water in front of Stromoy. That is definitely holding her up at the moment as her crew chief talks to her, explaining where the water seems to be a little bit calmer. Great turning again there from Stromoy as Tarente comes through, but does not again have any answer for her.
Halfway through this race, half the race laps are in the record books now as we work our way to the second half of the event here. And you watch the difference between Sean Tarente right there and, of course, Marit Stromoy in the front. Those two have had their little tiffs in the past, haven't they? We go back to 2011 on a restart in Portugal, where Marit Stromoy became the first woman ever to get the pole position out of 18 drivers. And on the replay, on the restart, you can see Sean Tarente. We all remember it was a great moment in the sport's history where the two got together and blew each other over and took each other out.
Yeah, but as things stand at the moment, Steve, I can tell you that Marit is not going to make it easy for Tarente. She's more than holding her own against him, and I think she's starting to close that gap now on Al-Hamli. There's not a lot there, but Tarente is definitely losing ground, and if he doesn't watch himself very carefully, Jonas Anderson running down the outside of the field at the moment, running very, very well. He's starting to close the gap on Tarente.
Yeah, Tarente's lost a lot of ground, Jonathan. He's just over 3 seconds behind Marit Stromoy after staying right with her for about 3 laps in a row. Jonas Anderson is about 3 seconds behind Tarente in that 7th position as we watch them slide through. There's Marit Stromoy. That's a woman from Norway getting very feisty here once again. As we talked about earlier in this race, her best event was an 8th in Evian. She got disqualified. Remember, she took out 2 buoys in Harbin, and she dropped out of the first race in Portimao. She's only got 3 points in the season, but that doesn't matter now. We start the second half of the year, and she's looking strong today.
Yeah, and this is a great race that these 3 drivers are having for 4th, 5th and 6th, with Al-Hamli there just about holding off Stromoy, a back marker, hopefully not getting in the way there as Stromoy tries to make ground up again. Tarente there doesn't seem to have an answer. Look at the dirty water that he's having, Steve. Having to take a really wide line there to be able to get round the outside, and as he gets past that pass marker, I think that again Marit seems to be pulling away from him.
Well, that may be the case now, but a lap ago it wasn't. Tarente got a second back from Marit Stromoy, just over 2 seconds now. It was just over 3 the last lap around, so it's kind of fun to watch these two jockey back and forth. No, it's not for the podium at the moment, but right now a good battle for 6th position, and Marit Stromoy in that 5th spot, and Tarente wants it badly.
Yeah, but Al-Hamli driving a great race there. The radio man for Al-Hamli is Scott Gilman, many times world champion, and these two guys have worked for many years together, and really has brought the young driver from Abu Dhabi as we pick up the lead boat there. Such is the pace that he's now lapping half of the back markers, and boy, that boat looks so fast with Carella as he sighs his way through the back markers and seems to be pulling away. Is he? Well,
not really.
3.5, Steve.
He's
so
not, Jonathan.
Not a lot in it.
He's still right there. Stark is still nipping at his heels as they rocket down the front straightaway. And there you see Eric Stark, the youngster, as he sprints his way past the start-finish line. He had stood it on end, and we go on board as we watch Eric Stark, and he fights his way. You can see the leader in the distance. He can almost smell the exhaust as he gets closer and closer.
And look what's happening now. Carella's coming up with about 2 or 3 back markers ahead of him. If he can't get through these drivers very easily and they don't actually make way for him, this is where Stark would certainly make up some ground.
Peter Morin slides out of the way, lets the leader Alex Carella get through, and he takes up the hunt because he's got about, as you mentioned, 4 more boats that he's going to have to work his way around and circumnavigate. And you take a look at Ahmed Al-Hamli, the 11-year racing veteran, and for him, he's coming off a podium 3rd. And Harbin, and he wants to get back up into the podium again. He's back and forth, and there's Marit Stromoy trying to chase him down with Torrente right behind. This third, fourth, and fifth, Jonathan, the difference between those three spots is now just 6 seconds.
But such is the driving ability out here this weekend. Normally you see Torrente just flying around the circuit as we pick up Benavente.
I mean to interrupt you, but the likable Portuguese driver who has raced here, and for Duarte Benavente, who is making his 133rd start. He's had 21 starts here in China. Never, ever has he had a top 5. So this place is bad luck for the likable driver from Lisbon.
Yeah, and he's tried, as I said yesterday, all sorts of boats just to see whether one suits him more than the other. And I think all through the weekend he seems to have some technical problems. And now he's not very, very happy. He's blaming, oh, what's going on there? Talking to his one of his mechanics. But I mean, there's nothing you can do, Steve. I mean, you know, everybody works as hard as they can to keep everything, keep all the equipment together for the entire race. And if something goes wrong, I'm sure it's not because somebody's not tried hard enough. So you've just got to accept these situations as we go back to the race.
As we watch some of the back markers, and yes, that could be Sami Celio, actually. Celio, is that possibly him going to get lapped here by the leader, Alex Corella? As what a change in fortune for the two-time world champion Sami Celio. As Catando in that yellow boat, you can see him, Francesco Catando's raced here in China more than anybody else. And he was here in 1996 for the first time. And this is his 22nd race in the People's Republic.
Great driving there. Stromoy on the inside. Torrente, as you said earlier, Steve, definitely now putting the pressure on that driver from Norway. As we pick up there, you can see that Alhamdi is going through the turn. Then you've got Stromoy and then Torrente, and that gap is definitely closing.
Yeah, we talked about it being about 6 seconds. The difference now, it's down to about 3 seconds. And Torrente now is sitting there about 1.8 seconds behind. He's back up on the tails and chasing down Marit Stromoy from Norway.
Yeah, what she's doing, Steve, is she's going from buoy to buoy. She's not leaving a gap, which means Torrente then, to try and overtake her, is going to have to go on the outside of her, which means he's going to have to cover a lot more ground to get ahead of her. And she's not going to let that happen the way she's driving around here today.
All right, 33 gone in the record books, 33 laps out of the 48 scheduled this afternoon. As we continue to watch the Florida driver who led the opening round, had the pole in Portimao, fought his way from 15th to the podium in Evian, and in the last race he was up in the top 3 and almost dropped out.
And Marit almost lost the turn boy there. She tried to settle the boat. Does that mean that Torrente's closed up a little bit? Oh, she's taken a tight line again. Torrente having to go to the outside as Alhamdi is watching in his mirrors at this battle that's going on behind him.
And the battle for that position for fourth is getting tighter and tighter, Jonathan. 3 seconds the difference. And Torrente doing his best, and now Marit Stromoy, she's getting feisty. She's challenging Ahmed Alhamli for that 4th place position. She's closing up on the driver from Abu Dhabi.
She certainly is. You can see Alhamli on the inside, Marit on the outside, Sean Torrente trying to take a tighter line again on the inside. It really is nip and tuck for these drivers as they come down past the start-finish line.
Be interesting to see if he can work with his teammate, but Torrente just went by us here, and he was forced to go way wide. The difference now between 4th and 6th is just 2 seconds, and the sandwich is getting tighter as this accordion play as they go down the far side.
Torrente then, he saw that gap. Alhamdi through. Marit took a wide line. Did Torrente have a chance? You can see Torrente there now on the inside, Marit on the outside. Is he going to take her in the next corner?
All right, we wait and hold our breath here as they go down into the corner. And Stromoy goes to the inside as they work their way around a back marker. Torrente's got to slam the brakes on here and hope to get clear as we watch Alhamli with Marit Stromoy. And Torrente definitely lost a bit of ground, I think, there, Jonathan. Not much as they were working their way past Peter Moore and that number 2 machine.
But you can see now how close it is between Alhamli and right in the wash there you can see Marit Stromoy. Probably not even being able to see exactly where she's going. There's a lot of guesswork as that spray hits her visor and hits the screen of the boat. Taking a wider line there, Torrente again trying to get on the inside, but not being able to do anything.
Yeah, he lost a second the last time around when he was working his way around the French driver. Just had nowhere to go, so Marit Stromoy jumped on the advantage. and she got a second back, Jonathan. But Al-Hamli here, remember, Ahmed Al-Hamli, he's the defending race champion. He won here a year ago from pole position, and that blue boat, well, it was fantastic a year ago, and he's trying to do it 2 times in a row for Al-Hamli. It was his first win in 3 years.
This is one feisty woman driver that's hanging on for grim teeth there. You can see Marit on the outside, Al-Hamli on the inside there. There is nothing between them. Marit trying to take a nice tight line again there, but Al-Hamli in control of everything as we speak, and they go down to the far end of the circuit.
1.3 seconds. Reed Strumoy is sitting behind in that battle for 4th place with Al-Hamli, and behind her 1.2 seconds is Torrente. So the victory team is sitting there 4th and 6th, and Strumoy would love some relief, but she's got pressure not only behind her, but she's got pressure to move up on Al-Hamli.
Look out on this corner. There's Marit on the inside, and she loses control of the boat slightly. Sean Torrente on the inside. Who's going to take the lead? And Marit is still there. Torrente on the outside, trying everything he can. And Jonas Anderson now coming into play.
And he's going to be part of the factor, but Torrente is doing the right thing. He backed off. He had a chance to squeeze her out and elected to say there'll be another time before this is over, with 11 laps still to be run out of these 48 scheduled. We're glad he with us here.
And he turns on the inside. He knew that she'd go wide. He doesn't quite do it as there's a back marker comes into play. This girl is driving the race of her life here, Steve. I have not seen Marit drive and be quite so aggressive for many, many, many races. And again, Torrente losing ground. You can hear the crew chief there talking to Marit, telling her she's doing a great job, egging her on, Steve, you know. Come on, keep focused, keep pushing, keep pushing. We're doing a great job out there.
All right, as we watch them go through, this is round number 4 of this championship for 2017 here in Liuzhou. 5 and 6 will be heading off early December, first to Abu Dhabi, and then we go off to Sharjah, a suburb out of Dubai, as you get a chance to see one of the Swedish drivers pulling off.
Yeah, we don't know if that's it looks like it's Jonas Anderson. Oh, that is such a shame, because he was putting so much pressure on those
He was
drivers.
closing, Jonathan, on that battle with Torrente. He was right there in the mix, and he must have overextended it because he came slowly to a halt. Jonathan, what a shame for Jonas Anderson. As Anderson now, well, I'll tell you what, he won here in 2009, but he's struggled here in China many times.
Yeah, that's a shame, because he was putting on a blinding run out there this afternoon. He's been strong all weekend, and this is a guy that doesn't only build in the boats with his crew. He does the engine tuning as well, so he's pretty much in control of everything on that boat, and he was putting on some really good times out there today, and that's a shame to see him out of the race.
Well, in the mix as we look at our leader, Alex Corella. He's got over a 4.5 second cushion on Eric Stark, holding the mail, so to speak. In other words, he's holding the distance right now as he tries to make good his escape, but Stark won't let him go. As we look out here, we continue to watch the battle back with Torrente, and now he's made his way past. He's worked his way around, and he's now moved up into 5th place. Reed Strumoy has dropped back. Torrente finally finds a way to get around her. He put on a ton of pressure, and now all of a sudden she's losing another spot because Thania Quimsey is going side by side in that chase for 6th position.
What has happened there, Steve? All of a sudden she was running as fast as anybody out there and losing some ground. Was it because she lost the concentration a little bit? But down at this far corner, there were a lot of turnboys. You can see she's had to go very wide there. And or was it Torrente just putting too much pressure on her?
Well,
but
the victory
that is
team,
a shame.
The victory team. Now they're getting closer and closer, flying by formation. Here we watch the replay. Torrente now sliding his way up. Marie goes into the corner, and again she has a problem with setting the boat. She reared it up high. Torrente kept it down low. He was flying like a rocket, and he went right past her in a blink of an eye. Torrente stole that 5th spot away from Marit Strumoy, the driver from Norway, who slipped now down to 7th position.
You could see the last couple of laps, he was always going on the inside of her there into turn number 3 at the far end of the circuit. But this time, maybe she thought he was going to do the same, but he switched to the outside just before coming around. He kept the boat floating right on top of the water. Didn't lose any speed, but had to go around her. But he was carrying enough speed, so when he got into the next turn, he was just ahead of her.
6 laps left to be run here. 6 tours around. As you take a look at the leader, Alex Corella. He has won 3 of the last 5 races. He leads this championship by 8 points, and he is hoping against hope that he can put it away today and continue to increase the margin in the championship. The man who's chasing him, Eric Stark, he's 11 points back. And if he finishes where he does today in second place, he will drop another 5 points behind. That'll be 16 points with 40 points still to be run with 2 races in the Emirates in December.
Yeah, we haven't talked a lot about Corella this afternoon because there's been so many other battles going on down the field, and he's really had it all his own way. But, you know, all credit, he has driven a blinding race. As we said, brand spanking new boat, flown into China last week, 2.5, 3 weeks of testing in Como in northern Italy before doing it. So they must have known that it was definitely worth bringing it here, and they proved that it really has. But all credit again to Eric Stark, second position. That's going to bag him a good few points, which is going to help him with the World Championship this year. And he's put on a great display as well. 6.79 seconds now between first and Stark in second.
Well, as you look at the 4-time F2 champion moving up into Formula One, Eric Stark, just in his 4th season, picked up his initial victory on his 23rd race. He did that in Harbin, the last round of this championship. As we go on board, you can see him trying to close up the gap. It's up to just over 6 seconds from the leader. As you look at Philippe Shep, the driver from France, who has won this championship 3 years in a row, trying to tie the 4-time in a row streak that Guido Campolini set back about 15 years ago. And for Campolini, he is steering, as he is the team manager for Alex Corella. Corella, remember, this year, the first half of the season, he's only been on the podium once. He won in Evian. In Portimao, he had a lackluster effort. He started 5th, finished 4th. And then in Harbin, he started 7th, finished 4th. So it's not like Corella has been dominating this season. But I'll tell you something, Jonathan. He's got to win multiple victories to win a championship. Nobody's done that in a long, long time. It might have been since the last time you won your title. You won 1 race and you won the World Championship back in 1998. But I will say this, you get multiple wins, you got a great chance to win the title.
But you have, and we've got Chiap here now. He's running in 3rd position. He's 13 seconds behind the lead boat and 8 seconds behind second place. So, you know, I think he's just backed off now. He knows that there's a big gap between him and Al Hamli. There's no point putting too much stress on that engine. Everything's been held together well, and he knows that he still has a chance for the championship as long as he can win those last 2 Grand Prix. And believe me, Team China are going to be working night and day to make sure that when we get to Abu Dhabi in the Middle East in November, the end of November, beginning of December, that he's going to have a really strong package. But is it going to be as strong as the lead boat?
All right, as we take a look down our leader, you can see less than 2 laps to go as he works his way through. Alex Corella, the 32-year-old from Italy in his 8th season, is hoping to win for the 14th time in his career. And if he does that, he will tie my partner, Jonathan Jones's record of 14 victories for 4th overall as the winningest driver in this championship. So we'll just wait and see if he can tie the man from Wales who's sitting next to me.
Well, I'm glad you got all those stats, Steve. I had no idea how many races I'd won, I'll be honest with you. But all credit to him this weekend. He has not put a foot wrong. Yesterday, blindingly fast in practice, and when it came down to it to get that pole position, he dominated the track out here. He had a great start today, didn't he, from that pole position, and even with the yellow where he had to back off, and there was an opportunity to for Stark to maybe take the lead away from him. He just kept cool and collected, and as I say, he's driven a blinding race in a very, and he's got a very strong package there going forward to the last 2 races of the season.
As he works his way around here on this final lap, Alex Corella could almost coast him. He knows he's got a great chance of wrapping things up here, Jonathan, as he heads down to the final 2 pins. over on the north side of this race course. Through turn number 5. Heading off and turning on the final time in turn number 6. Nobody really in front of him. And the drive of the day must go to Alex Corella towards the timekeepers in the checkered flag. And he wins for the 14th time in his career, the second time in 2017. And Alex Corella now has put a cushion of 16 points between him and his nearest rival, as he does a wonderful day as he led from start to finish and has won here for the 4th time in the last 6 years. Alex Corella has found his mojo. He's got it back, and he is the man we are going to chase all the way to the final 2 races in the Emirates in December. Hats off to the 32-year-old from Piacenza, Italy, and with 3 wins and 6 podiums in his last 12 starts. What a great day for Alex Corella.
Yeah, great day for Corella, and a great day for Team Abu Dhabi. I mean, they've been so strong in this championship for many, many years now, and you know, he's put on a really strong showing there this afternoon, and everybody knows he is the benchmark with the last 2 races to go, and now leading the championship. He must feel reasonably comfortable. But, you know, it's all about reliability as well as having that pace, and, you know, that's what they've got to make sure that that team give him the best equipment they can, the most reliable for the last 2 races of the season.
There you see team manager Guido Capellini, 10-time world champion. And Guido Capellini, who raced here in China, he had 4 victories in China in 12 starts. And his young protege, Alex Corella, has now topped his record here in China, as Alex Corella becoming one of the winningest driver in the battle for overall supremacy in China, as he wins one more time here in the People's Republic. And for Alex Corella, he won in 2010. His first victory ever was in Linyi. Then he won in 12, 13, 14 here in Liuzhou, and he wins in 17. So there you go. That's 5 wins here in China for Alex Corella. What a great day he had. He wins by 4.47 seconds. Stark did everything he could. He's still got the momentum alive. Philippe Shep, well, he made it to the podium, and he picks up 12 points, but continues to slide backwards. As you look at Alex Corella, he looks knackered, and he looks very, very tired, but he's got to be very, very happy, and he knows now that he will dictate the championship for the final 2 rounds. Everybody will be chasing him and hoping for bad luck, but I'll tell you something, with Team Abu Dhabi, it's going to be hard to do, as their drivers finished in the 1st place today, in the 6th place, and in the 11th place, with a good strong field of 3 drivers. Yeah,
you can see he's really tired having a sit down there, and I've been in 1 or 2 of these races in China, and it's so humid and hot here, you know. It really is, it just drains you as the race goes on, but all credit to him. He's driven a blinding race there today, and as you can see, the boat of the 2nd placed Eric Stark behind him, and he did a great job as well. I mean, he didn't make it easy for him, you know. He kept the pressure on. He was within 3 or 4 seconds for the entire race, and you know, a great result for Stark after coming away from a win in Harbin not that long ago, the last Grand Prix. So he's got to be pleased with his overall position today as well.
Yeah, as you say, he kept him honest all day long, and he won by less than 5 seconds. Alex Corella did, and then you look at Philippe Shep, who finished 3rd. He was just a shade over 10 seconds behind, and then look at the gap back to 4th, where you got Ahmed El Hamli. The victory team had a nice afternoon, as they finished in the 4th spot with Ahmed El Hamli, and in that 5th position was Sean Torrente. So the teammates finishing 4 and 5, and putting together a wonderful, wonderful day for the victory team. Remember, Torrente started down in 10th, and he moved up 5 positions. So here we have it as we look at the final standings, of course unofficial, but Alex Corella picking up 20 big points. Stark in that 2nd spot gets 15 points in boat number 15. And Philippe Shep 3rd, Ahmed El Hamli finishing 4th. Torrente, as we said, coming up 5 spots to finish 5th. Thaniel Quimsey down in that 6th spot. Good run for the German driver, the 2nd-year driver, Mike Shimura. And the Emirates team, he finished 7th. And also for the Polish driver, Bartek Marzlak, who started down in that 14th position. He jumped up 6 spots and finished 8th. Hats off to him. And the youngster Philip Roms moving up 3 spots. Francesco Catando started 13th, finished 10th. And Rajam Quimsey, as he came out As Rashid started in the 8th spot, dropped back into 11th position as you look farther down. How about Grant Trask starting all the way at the tail end of the field in 19th? He finished 13, and of course the last few drivers struggling, and Duarte Benavente not getting to the end of the race. He retired the final 3 drivers, with Marit Stromoy, Jonas Andersen, and Duarte Benavente dropping out. What a shame for Marit Stromoy.
Well, this is what I was just going to say. She drove a blinding race out there, and we assumed that Tarente had actually fair and square overtaken her. We don't know whether that was the case, or Marit had some kind of technical problem there and basically had to pull out of the race, which is a real shame, because that's one of the best races I've seen Marit run ever. And, you know, she was right up there amongst the top drivers, and she showed that she's as good as anybody out there on that track today.
She showed her vigor and her gusto, and she hung right in there, and she knew she was in a real dogfight today. But the key for her was yesterday's great qualifying effort. She got up into the top 6, and she started in the 4th position. And from there, it's a battle of holding people off from behind you who are coming up fast and try to get up onto the podium. And she did a great job for 40 laps out of the 48. And then as we saw, she dropped out and finished 17th. She deserved better today.
Yeah, and one of the 2 of the losers there, Al Hamli, who was in 4th, he on that restart, Chiap actually jumped him, and so a little bit of a disappointment for Al Hamli.
All right, we look at the team standings right now. Team Abu Dhabi continues to extend their margin. It's almost 30 points now between them and Team Sweden. Victory Team moving up. They're up in that 3rd position, trying to close up in the 2nd spot. And CTIC China and a steady 4th. They have won the title before. Mad Croc, well, they're struggling this year. Formula Atlantic, yes, for them, they are down in that 6th position. And as you see the rest of the field, the Emirates Racing Team and Maverick down in the final 2 spots. So the team positions, and Team Abu Dhabi, well, you know, I'll tell you what, they're the pace setters right now. They're the people to beat. And Alex Corella, who did not lead this championship right away, but remember, after 3 races, we had 3 different winners, 3 different leaders in the championship, and we have now passed the halfway point. This is the 4th event, and Alex Corella is starting to creep himself away from the rest of the field. And just as we watch the birds flying by in this tremendous heat, as we said, it was about 33 degrees Celsius this afternoon. Here's the updated points for the Drivers' Championship. And the difference in the cushion right now, 16 points between Corella and Stark. And Shep is sitting back about 3 points back. So he's going to have to pull off a miracle for him to get back into that #1 spot before it's all over in the season, with 40 points still left to be run. As you look farther down with Sean Tarente in the 19th spot. And Masaryk, he had a good day today. Benavente dropping back, so Bartek Marzalek up into that 8th position. Jonas Andersen, what can you say about the Swedish driver, who is a pace setter, who is fast, and who has struggled to gather points? He has put in great efforts this year. Jonathan, I mean, you know, he finished 5th and 6th, and today no finish, 2nd time in 4 races.
Yeah, and that is a shame, because when he's got it all together, Jonas is a very, very fast driver, and just doesn't seem to have the reliability, does he? I mean, in qualifying yesterday, a gearbox went with him when he was trying to work into the top 6, and he probably would have been a lot further up. He got into the top 6, but of course then he couldn't start to do the final couple of laps, and so he had to stay in that position. But for sure, had he not had that gearbox problem, he probably would have been in the top 3, which would have made quite a difference, let's say, to the start of the race for him anyway, but he wouldn't have finished. But no, it is a shame, but Team Sweden still looking strong, and running on such a small budget, that team, you know. They call themselves Team Sweden, but I don't think they've got any support from Sweden, and very few sponsors on there. So, you know, I've said it before, I'll say it again. If anybody's looking to maybe put some money into the sport, get involved with the team, you needn't look any further than Team Sweden, because these are professional team guys who, if they had the budget, I think they would be probably a little bit stronger than they are at the moment.
Well, Alex Corella, with his victory, his 4th win, now ties Guido Capellini and Sami Celio for the most victories in China, with 4. And for I'll tell you something, for Corella, and make it 5 now for Corella. He is now more than the other 2 drivers we just mentioned. And as we look off in this beautiful scenery on the far side, here are the overall championship standings, with Alex Corella, as we talked about, a 16-point cushion with Philippe Shep in that third spot, sliding down and losing ground here. Ahmed Al-Hamli in the fourth position, tied with Celio, and Torrente down in that seventh spot. And a good battle between Marzawack and Benavente and Jonas Anderson. And farther down, Cedric Deguine picking up a few points today. And as we go farther down into the order, Mike Zamura picking up his first points of the season. He's now up in the 14th position. And of course, Maurice Stromoy dropping out, was hoping to do better. And there you see the final couple of drivers who have failed to get any points. Let me ask you this, Jonathan. We take a look at our new points leader and the driver who's pulling away from the championship. And we'll get to that in a second. I'll tell you what, though, let's take a look at the highlights of this race one more time, because it was a tremendous start. And off the start we came. We had people in the back. We were hoping Sami Celio would come charging up from the 18th spot. But you can see Alex Corella on the inside. He has started there so many times. He's had 14 poles in his career, and he hugged the lane. And he made sure, as we go on board, you can see Philippe Shep back in that fifth position. And he got an ace of a start, but he had to stay wide. Your drivers are asked to maintain their lane, so you look how much wider that Philippe Shep did than the leader of the race, who started on the pole, Alex Corella. That's why it's so important to get pole position. As we watch Corella come out of turn number 6, off he went. He's trying to make good his escape from the field. He set a tremendous pace early as Stark hung right in there with him. And Ahmed Al-Hamli was hugging, and he tried to stay with him too as well, with Philippe Shep moving up a position. He started 5th, he moved up into 4th spot. And the field getting away for the start of a 48-lap adventure in this heat. As you get a great look at that 2.02 kilometer race circuit, we had a problem down in turn number 5. The buoys started floating away, and we had a brief stoppage, and then we had the restart. And here you can see a ding-dong battle there between Philippe Shep and Ahmed Al-Hamli. Shep would eventually win that battle to get the final podium position. Torrente was in a dogfight as he started 10th, and there you can see Grant Trask almost losing it. And he held on. He got hosed down. He settled the boat down before he barrel rolled in the corner. And he was very lucky to continue on, as you could see the fight going on here as they were going through. And I'll tell you something, the big battle up front was in the top couple of positions, but back in that fight for 4th place, finally there you could see it was Stromoy holding off Torrente for about 3 or 4 laps. But the question was she having a handling problem? We do not know that. Jonas Anderson dropping out, and he was in the 6th position at the time. And then finally the Florida driver, Sean Torrente, finding the move as Stromoy reared the boat up high, lost a little ground, and Torrente stopped all over the opportunity, slid himself up into that 5th place position. And Philippe Shep continued to fight. He wanted to get up a little bit closer. He made it to the podium today. So Philippe Shep was doing his best to hold on to any semblance of winning his 4th straight championship. Eric Stark was right there, not giving up, as Alex Corella was holding off the youngster from Sweden. And for Corella, he had to run 10 tenths in order to hold off a driver who has really made up a lot of momentum. 48 laps in the record books, and Alex Corella wins in China for the 5th time, his 14th career victory. Eric Stark 4.54 seconds back. Philippe Shep taking 3rd. And Team Abu Dhabi feeling pretty feisty. They're leading the team championship. There's Guido Cappellini on the right of the screen. Alex Corella tired, knackered, and more importantly, happy today.
Yeah, he knows he's been in a race. You can see the perspiration just running off him. And but you know, he's one heck of a driver, Steve, isn't he? I mean, he's fairly cool and you know, never gets stressed much. He gets into the boat and he does what he's paid to do. Which is to be a top driver. Fair, you know, I mean, he's a brilliant driver, but we have to bear in mind that the crew that are with him, they have a wealth of experience. Those are the guys that took Guido Cappellini to his championships, and now those guys are working with Corella, and it goes to show how much this experience counts with boat setup, propeller, engine, and everything else, you know, to allow that guy to be able to go out there and win Grand Prix.
for a driver who started in T400 17 years ago. And I'll tell you what, he came and he did the smart move. He started with Sami Celio, moved over to the Qatar team. Was a teammate of Jay Price, the 2008 champion. Beat Jay the next year for a battle that they had eventually. And Alex Carrella winning 12, 13, and 14 in the year 2000. And there you see the start of the build-up for the ceremony on the podium. And here comes Alex Carrella. Alex Carrella, 5 times a winner in China, and 14 in his career, is second of this year, and he now has a 16-point bulge in this championship as we work our way to the final 40 points of the year. So many years, Jonathan, we have had as many as 8 drivers caught up in the final race or two for the championship, and this year might be a little bit different if Alex Carrella continues, and definitely if he shuts down all his challengers. He's finished every race this year. He's been a bit conservative, wouldn't you say, with 2 fourth-place finishes, but he's on the right track to win a title.
Yeah, I think with the 4th place finishes, they did not have their act together. But, you know, at the end of the day, Steve, it's all about winning races, and it's all about having that consistency and the reliability. And, you know, other drivers standing up there now have actually lost out this year where they've had engine problems and so on and so forth. And it could happen to Carrella, which means then it could go down to the wire to the last race. So it isn't over till it's over. And for sure, I know that Stark there, who won the last Grand Prix in China and really did show Carrella the way to go. You know, we know he's capable of winning races, and he works so closely with his father, who comes to every race and has supported him. Many time World Formula 2 champion. And I tell you, boy, Carrella's got to keep an eye on him because he's running similar boat, similar equipment, and on his day, he's blindingly fast.
Absolutely. He's really opened up the eyes of a lot of people. Now remember, Alex Carrella, when he was in Formula 2, was not an outstanding driver. He was a steady driver. He never won any F2 titles. Eric Stark won 4 in a row in F2. So it's like Alex Carrella kind of blossomed as he got into Formula 1 and really took off.
Well, what happened was Massimo Rogero brought him into Formula 1 quite a few years ago now. He knew he had potential, and I saw him win his first Grand Prix, the Russian Grand Prix that year, and I thought, my goodness, this boy has got something special about him. But anyway, what happened then was Qatar, who were running in the championship at that time, Brendan Power, the guy that ran that team, saw how good he was and just stole him from underneath Massimo's nose, and that was it. And then, of course, with Team Abu Dhabi starting up and Team Qatar pulling out, of course, Team Abu Dhabi jumped at the opportunity of having him. So he's been provided, because he is a great driver, but he has been provided with really the best equipment that money can buy, and he's showing that given the equipment, he can do the job.
Absolutely. And I think you meant to say that he won his first victory in Liuzhou in China. He got his first podium in Russia, and that was a big day. That's when it kind of opened up everybody's eyes. Why? It was a rookie year, and nobody expected him to do that. And people started thinking, this guy could be a winner.
Yeah, that's why you're the stats man, Steve, and I'm not. It's because I know you know every race inside out, and it's great to know where they've won, where they haven't won, or whatever. But Philippe Chap in third there, he's probably happy that he's got third. But, you know, because this guy led the way for so many races over the last 3 years, he's got to be thinking to himself, what do we need to do? We've got to regroup. How are we going to get back to the pace that we had at the beginning of the year? Or is it, Steve, that the other drivers and the other teams have actually caught them up?
Well, Philippe Chap, remember, was not an instant star in this sport. It took him 83 races before he won his first race in Kiev in 2013. And, of course, he's got 7 victories in his last 18 starts. And he was 1 for 4 so far this year. He started out off the year doing fantastically. He qualified 4th and he won the race. He had Torrente drop out, who had the pole. He got a little bit of luck and he got the momentum going. He led this championship going into France, and from that time, he's had such bad luck in France. He dropped out again. And then he's been playing catch-up in China. qualifying 5th, finishing 5th in Harbin, and today he worked his way up from 5th again in qualifying, but he got to the podium today. He needed points to save his chances of finishing 4 championships in a row, and it's starting to slip on him now.
And that's another team that have decided at this race. Not only did the Abu Dhabi team decide, as I said earlier, to run a different boat, and they had that flown in last week, but also I didn't realize that Philippe Giap is also running a new moorboat. It's one they bought last year. They've been testing it over the winter, last winter, and they've been testing it at some of these events on the free practice day, which is before the Grand Prix actually starts, and he felt it was the boat to have here. But we noticed yesterday in qualifying, it's not often you see him making a mistake, but he made a big mistake in qualifying yesterday, and he almost lost control of the boat, and afterwards he did pass a comment saying, I think this boat is a little bit too small, and he said, I should have stayed with the other boat. So, you know, whether that's playing a part in it or not, but you've got to just keep moving on. You can, you know, to have a fast boat, it's got to be something that's difficult to handle as well.
Well, thanks for being with us, my broadcast partner Jonathan Jones, along with our great international idea marketing television crew, saying whether it's good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever in the world you may be at the moment, you've been watching the most exciting racing entertainment on water, the UIM Formula One World Championship. Don't forget to join us at our next tour as we head off in 9 weeks' time, the exotic region of the Middle East, as we visit the city of Abu Dhabi for the 5th round of this championship. In the meantime, you can follow all the action and the news by going to the website at F1H2O.com. So on an historic afternoon here on the Liu River, the city of Liuzhou here in lovely southern China, I'm Steve Michael saying, go out and make it a great day. So long, everybody.